Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Monday Night Raw tonight, of course, was from the PC, the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. And tonight, we saw three Money in the Bank qualifying matches. And these were the matches that were announced last week. So we ended up seeing Aleister Black versus Austin Theory, Money in the Bank qualifying match. We saw Apollo Crews versus MVP, another qualifying match. And then we saw Rey Mysterio versus Buddy Murphy in another qualifying match. But Monday Night Raw tonight, another week of Raw, another horrendous show it was. Show was absolutely fucking horrendous. Terrible. Garbage. But let's just jump right into the review. Don't want to waste any time. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre made his way out, and I don't know if any of you caught this while McIntyre made his way out. Apparently somebody in the WWE production truck managed to botch the championship that Drew McIntyre holds. We all know he holds the WWE championship, but you know how the name appears on the screen, like it says, McIntyre's name and the championship that he holds? Somebody botched badly and said that McIntyre is the Universal Champion. I'm like, when did McIntyre win the title from Braun Strowman when Braun Strowman's a SmackDown guy? I'm sorry, I just had to make a joke about that, but they botched badly on that. I'm like, well, since when is McIntyre the Universal Champion? Doesn't he hold the WWE Championship? Yes, he does. So I'm like, when did McIntyre become the Universal Champion? Yeah, big botch by somebody in WWE's production truck, or whoever does the thing with the production, putting it on TV. So, but when that popped up, I just had to laugh with it showing McIntyre as the Universal Champion when he's the WWE Champion. So, but McIntyre made his way to the ring. He got on the mic. He ended up welcoming us to Monday Night Raw. And he ended up saying that this is truly the highlight of his week. So McIntyre ended up mentioning the attack that he received from Seth Rollins last week. And he goes on to say how the WWE Championship paints a bullseye on his back. And McIntyre ended up going on saying how Seth Rollins deserves a shot at the WWE Championship. Deserving a shot at the WWE Championship. And he ended up saying that he challenges Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank for the title. So Zelina Vega ends up coming out along with Angel Garza and Austin Theory. So Zelina ended up saying to McIntyre that her, Garza, Austin Theory, and Andrade Cien Almas are tired of his speeches. he ends up saying that he's so focused on Money in the Bank that he's looking past tonight's main event. So then Andrade Cien Almas attacks McIntyre with a cheap shot, but McIntyre ends up delivering the Claymore to Andrade. Zelina ends up telling Angel Garza and Austin Theory, ends up telling them to go to the ring, but Garza and Theory weren't interested in going to the ring. So Zelina was furious at them. So then McIntyre ended up delivering another Claymore kick to Andrade, sending Andrade out of the ring. And McIntyre's music ended up hitting, and he ends up saying that he's going to beat the hell out of Angel Garza, later on in the night. So that was basically that. But overall, it was a decent opening to Raw with Drew McIntyre. So then we had the first match of the night, which was a Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was Aleister Black versus Austin Theory. And the match itself, was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match. Right when the match started, it was back and forth between the both of them. You had Aleister Black ends up taking down Austin Theory, and Austin Theory ended up dropping Aleister, a few times. Austin Theory then avoided a leg sweep that was being delivered from Aleister Black. Aleister Black ended up coming back, sends Austin Theory to the apron, to the ring apron. Aleister tried to go for the Black Mass, but Austin Theory ended up dodging it, ended up landing on the floor. So Zelina Vega was on commentary through this match, and she ends up talking a lot of crap to Aleister Black, her husband, Aleister Black, and I kind of found it really funny, was it Zelina trashing her husband on commentary. So because of that, Austin Theory ended up taking advantage of the match because Aleister Black was distracted. Austin Theory ended up launching Aleister Black into the barricade. And at the end of the match, you had Aleister Black delivering the Black Mass to Austin Theory. So Aleister Black went for the pin. There you go. Aleister Black wins the match, advances to the men's Money in the Bank match, which was the right decision for Aleister Black to win the match. Overall, decent match between Aleister Black and Austin Theory. Both of these guys gave it all they got in this match. The wrestling here from both guys was decent. It was enjoyable. And then post-match, we saw Byron Saxton. He ended up interviewing Aleister Black on, the Money in the Bank match that's happening at the WWE headquarters. And Aleister ends up saying that he doesn't know much about corporate life. He says, but for his opponents, he will make sure each floor of the WWE headquarters is turned into their own personal hell. So that was basically what Aleister Black had to say. But WWE made the right decision putting Aleister Black in the Money in the Bank. Austin Theory, is just brought up to the main roster, and imagine if he won, he would be put in the money. If he was put in Money in the Bank, that would be rather too quick for him. But I'm glad that they made the right decision to put Aleister Black in the Money in the Bank. But there will be a time where Austin Theory will make it to a Money in the Bank match. But, Austin Theory is very talented in the ring. And so then, after that, we saw Shayna Baszler versus Indi Hartwell. I think that's how you pronounce her her name. But this was a quick match. Charlie Caruso ended up stopping Shayna Baszler on stage. Charlie Caruso ended up asking Shayna if she took it too far with stomping on Sarah Logan's arm last week, which they did mention Sarah Logan, which Sarah Logan last week got released on Black Wednesday, as many of us in the IWC were calling it last week, where WWE released a whole lot of their superstars and other personnels. It was a very terrible week last week with all that going on. You had that on Wednesday, and then you had the passing of Howard Finkel the next day on Thursday. But we did get mention of Sarah Logan tonight. And so Shayna ended up saying to Charlie Caruso that she didn't break any rules. She just broke Logan's arm. So Shayna then made her way down to the ring, and match got underway. The bell rang. Shayna Baszler ended up taking Indi Hartwell down. Shayna Baszler then unloaded on Hartwell, ended up hitting a gut wrench suplex to Hartwell. So Baszler ends up standing on Hartwell's arm, and she ends up going to stomp Hartwell's arm, but Hartwell ended up moving out of the way. Hartwell ended up going for a cover. Shayna ended up kicking out of it, and you see this pissed off look. You saw this pissed off look on Shayna's face. So Shayna ends up attacking Hartwell in the corner. She ends up dumping Hartwell on her head. Hartwell's head ended up hitting the turnbuckle. Baszler ended up delivering a knee to Hartwell's head. And then we see what Shayna did to Sarah Logan last week. She ended up stomping on Hartwell's arm. So the referee ended up calling the match and ended up saying that Hartwell couldn't continue the match. So Shayna ended up winning. But post-match, we saw Shayna comes back to the ring, and Hartwell is rolling around the ring. She was clutching her arm. Baszler ends up walking back out with a ladder. She ended up putting Hartwell out of the ring, launched her head first into the barricade. Baszler ended up placing the ladder next to the ring steps, and she ended up sending Hartwell into both the ring steps and the ladder. So Shayna then put Hartwell's elbow in between the ring steps and the ladder. And so Shayna ends up kicking both the ladder and Hartwell's elbow. So then we saw Hartwell, in pain, and Shayna was just staring her down. She then headed to the back. Trainers were coming out to check on Hartwell, and that was basically that. But squash match with Shayna Baszler and Indy Hartwell, which Indy Hartwell is from NXT. So that was what we got. Then we had Ricochet and Cedric Alexander versus Shane Thorne and Brendan Vick. I'd say Ricochet and Cedric Alexander really entertained here as a tag team. So they took on Shane Thorne and Brendan Vick from NXT. So the bell ended up ringing. Brendan Vick ended up starting out. He ended up dominating on Ricochet. Shane Thorne ended up coming in, ended up dropping Ricochet. Ricochet ends up dropping Shane Thorne with a drop kick. Cedric ended up coming in, and they did a double team on Shane Thorne. So it was back and forth between the two teams. Ricochet and Cedric ended up taking them both down. And at the end of the match, Ricochet ended up hitting the recoil on Brendan Vick. Cedric ended up coming in, hit the lumbar check, also to Brendan Vick. So there you go. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander won the match. Overall, very meh match. It was a short match. Short tag team match between them. So then after that, we had Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso was backstage with Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors. And it said that Kairi Sane was going to get a rematch against Nia Jax tonight. So once again, for the second week in a row, we get Nia Jax versus Kairi Sane. Only it wasn't Money in the Bank qualifying match, because last week it was Nia Jax versus Kairi Sane for Money in the Bank qualifying match, to be in Money in the Bank. And of course, Nia Jax ended up winning, so Nia Jax is going to be in the women's Money in the Bank. So Charlie Caruso ended up asking why it will be any different. And Asuka ended up going on about how Kairi Sane is ready and that no one is ready for her. And that was basically that. But Charlie Caruso, when she ended up asking why it will be any different, it won't be any different. It will be the same thing that we saw last week. So then, after that, we had Bobby Lashley and Lana. Oh, great. Oh, great. It was a pre-recorded message from Bobby Lashley. So, Bobby Lashley was in the PC. He was in the PC's gym. And he was showing us how easy it is to flip these tractor tires, which, they're large tractor tires. So then we see, Lana's all smiling, and they walk off together, and that was basically that. But who the fuck cares? Who gives a shit? I'm like, Rusev, Rusev gets released, but Lana's still there. How? How? Tell me, WWE. How you release Rusev, but you don't release his wife, too? Doesn't make any sense. Rusev is gone, but Lana's still there. I don't get it. So then we had Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax. What can I tell you? If you thought anything was different here in this match, you're completely wrong. Nothing different happened in this match. Same shit that we saw last week. Sorry about that, but I was saying, it's Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax. What was so different that we didn't see last week? It was the same shit that we saw last week, only this was not a qualifying match for Money in the Bank, which we saw with them last week. So, bell rang. Kairi Sane ended up ducking a clothesline from Nia Jax. Kairi Sane ends up jumping on Nia's back with a sleeper. Nia Jax ended up tossing Kairi Sane to the mat. Nia Jax ended up delivering a clothesline to Kairi Sane. And at the end of the match, you had Nia Jax win the match. Ends up delivering the Annihilator, as what they're calling her finishing move when it's a Samoan drop, but they're giving it a finisher, as was announced last week on commentary. So Nia Jax ends up winning the match. Second week, Nia Jax wins. She defeated Kairi Sane last week, and she defeated her again this week. Well, I tell you, nothing new in this match. Same winner as last week. Like I said, only it wasn't a qualifying match for Money in the Bank this week. Nothing different happened. So, post-match, Nia Jax was slapping Kairi Sane a few times. Ended up taunting Kairi Sane. That was basically that. So then after that, we got a video message from Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was responding to McIntyre's Money in the Bank challenge from earlier on in the show. Seth Rollins ended up accepting the challenge, so it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank for the WWE Championship. He says Rollins ended up going on and ended up saying that he's a proven leader, while McIntyre is not. Rollins ended up saying that he will take the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank, not because he wants to, because he has to. So that was that. So it's official now. It's official. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, Money in the Bank. WWE Championship is going to be on the line. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders were on the road, and then they were doing their own version of, I think it was Carpool Karaoke. They sing about being Vikings. Be like, the Viking Raiders, Viking Raiders. They were shown wearing their headgear. We saw Ivar was eating a large turkey leg while they were singing the Viking Raiders, Viking Raiders. Cringe. Absolute cringe. Terrible. So we saw that, but it was cringe. It was cringe-worthy. God-awful. And then we had Apollo Crews versus MVP. Money in the Bank qualifying match. So MVP made his way out first. He ended up getting on the mic. He was talking about Money in the Bank. And he ended up saying about him having his agent book him in this match tonight. So out came Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews comes out, goes into the ring. He ends up staring at the briefcase that was hanging above them. And the bell rang, and this match was boring, in my opinion. Slow MVP in the ring. So Apollo Crews wasn't loading after MVP ended up striking Apollo Crews first. Apollo Crews ended up delivering some drop kicks to MVP, sending him out to the ring apron. And MVP was like calling for a timeout. And then Apollo Crews ended up dropping MVP off of the ring apron to the floor. MVP ended up taking out Apollo Crews' legs on the ring apron, also sending him to the floor. Apollo Crews ended up ramming MVP into the corner. MVP ended up coming out of the corner with a clothesline, which Apollo Crews ended up botching that clothesline. So MVP was talking trash to Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews ended up dropping MVP with a spine buster. And at the end of the match, you had Apollo Crews end up dropping MVP into a sit-down powerbomb. He went for the pin. There you go. Apollo Crews end up winning the match. Can you all imagine if MVP won and he is in the men's Money in the Bank match? God help us all if that would have happened. That would have been fucking terrible. But we all knew MVP wasn't going to win this qualifying match. You know, they made the right decision in putting Apollo Crews in the men's Money in the Bank. No way in hell that they would put MVP. That was that. Apollo Crews goes into the men's Money in the Bank. Gets spotted, in the men's Money in the Bank match. So then, after that, we had Charlie Caruso interviewing Ruby Riott. Charlie Caruso ended up asking Ruby Riott about facing Liv Morgan and the history of the Riott Squad. I mean, I miss the Riott Squad. I miss the three of them together. Ruby, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. And Ruby Riott ends up telling Charlie Caruso that she had to have double shoulder surgery because she carried both Liv and Sarah Logan. Ruby ended up saying that Sarah Logan now has a broken arm and that Liv will be lucky if she doesn't get both arms broken. So she was just trash talking down on Liv Morgan. And Ruby Riott ended up walking off. And that was that. So then we had that match. Ruby Riott versus Liv Morgan. Very boring match, in my opinion. The match started with both of them locking up. Liv ended up taking Ruby Riott into the corner. Ruby Riott ended up beating Liv Morgan down, stomping away at her. She ended up delivering a big kick to Liv Morgan. Liv then ended up fighting back, but Ruby Riott ended up clubbing Liv Morgan over her back. Liv ended up delivering a big kick and some clotheslines to Ruby Riott. Liv ended up delivering a kick to Ruby Riott's face, sending her into the corner. And at the end of the match, Liv ended up delivering a flatliner off of the ropes. She went for the cover out of nowhere. And there you go. Liv Morgan ended up picking up the win, defeating Ruby Riott. But overall, very boring match. And then after that, we had Bobby Lashley and Lana. They were in the Performance Center gym once again. Bobby Lashley said that he is ready to flip a tractor tire. And he does end up flipping that tire. And we saw there was even a bigger tire there. So, looked like later on in the night, Lashley was going to flip that one. But that was that. I mean, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit seeing Bobby Lashley flip over a tractor tire? It was just a waste of time. So then we had Buddy Murphy versus Rey Mysterio in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. And this was a decent match between the both of them. The match started back and forth between Buddy Murphy and Rey Mysterio. Rey went to the floor, and he ended up selling a hand injury because Buddy Murphy ended up nailing him in the corner. Buddy Murphy ended up launching Rey Mysterio into the barricade a few times. And Buddy Murphy ended up slamming Rey's arm into the ring post. And he ended up launching Mysterio into the barricade on the outside. And towards the end of the match, you had Rey Mysterio delivering the 619 to Buddy Murphy. He then went to the top and ended up delivering a splash to Buddy Murphy. Went for the pin. There you go. Rey Mysterio ends up winning the match, advancing to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Overall, decent match between the both of them. Enjoyed what I saw here. I mean, both guys. Rey Mysterio, very talented superstar. That we've seen in years. With Rey Mysterio, with him in the ring. Buddy Murphy, also very enjoyable in the ring. But overall, it was a decent match. Then we saw Zelina Vega and Angel Garza. They were backstage with Charlie Caruso. Zelina Vega ends up talking about the match with Drew McIntyre and Angel Garza. It was basically just that. And Garza ends up flirting more with Charlie Caruso. Then we had Charlotte Flair versus Kayden Carter. Charlotte Flair, once again, on Monday Night Raw. And I'm like, oh, we got to see her on Monday Night Raw. We also got to see her on NXT on Wednesday nights. Jesus Christ. Seeing Charlotte Flair Monday night and Wednesday night. Talk about overload of Charlotte Flair. So the bell ended up ringing. Charlotte then went down on Kayden Carter, ended up delivering a boot to Kayden's face. So Charlotte was booting Carter around the ring, and Carter then kept control of the match. She ended up backslides on Charlotte. Kayden Carter stood on top of Charlotte, and Charlotte ended up trying to fight out of a submission that was locked from Kayden Carter. Charlotte then powered out of Kayden Carter's submission. And at the end of the match, Charlotte ended up winning. She ended up bridging the figure 8 on Kayden Carter. And that was that. Charlotte ended up winning. Easy win for Charlotte. So post-match, Charlotte ended up taunting Kayden Carter. And pretty much that was basically what happened. What happened post-match. So then after Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had another video, pre-recorded video with Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley was then trying to flip the tire. He ended up trying to flip it a few times. Couldn't get it over. So we then see him finally flip the tire. And Lana came in to praise him, be happy that Lashley flipped the tire. And then Lashley ended up going on to say, that's the kind of power everyone in WWE needs to fear. And him and Lana then walked off. This was a waste of time. I mean, like, who cares? It's just Lashley. It was just Lashley flipping the tire. Talk about, that's good TV. It was not needed. I mean, who's really excited to see Lashley flip over a tire? So then we had Andrade Cien Almas versus Akira Tozawa. And Bell ended up bringing. Akira Tozawa ended up attacking Andrade, but Andrade ended up knocking Tozawa away. Tozawa ended up getting some offense, delivered a big knee to Andrade's face, ended up going for the pin. Andrade ended up kicking out at 2. Andrade kept fighting back at Tozawa, and Tozawa ended up hitting a Hurricanrana, and Tozawa ended up charging, ended up kicking Andrade in the face. He ended up sending Andrade off the ring apron down to the floor. Tozawa ends up delivering a senton, send Andrade into the barricade. Tozawa then brought Andrade back into the ring, delivers a missile drop kick from the top to Andrade. And at the end of the match, Tozawa ended up going to the top to take out Andrade, but Andrade ended up cutting Tozawa off. And that was when Andrade ended up coming in, ended up delivering the hammerlock DDT to Tozawa. So there you go. Andrade ended up winning the match, ended up defeating Akira Tozawa. Overall, match itself, it was an easy win for Andrade. Match was So then, after that, we had Bianca Belair versus Santana Garrett. And, seeing Bianca Belair here in the match, I like Bianca. I think she's very talented. I liked her when she was down in NXT. Very entertaining down there, too. I enjoy her gimmick. So, in this match, we had the Street Profits, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins. They were on commentary. Of course, Bianca Belair, was married to, of course, Montez Ford. So the bell ended up ringing. Bianca Belair took Santana Garrett into the corner. Bianca then taunted at Santana Garrett. So we had, Bianca was taunting at Santana Garrett. And we had Bianca ends up scooping Santana Garrett on her shoulders. Garrett ended up fighting her off. And during this match, the Street Profits were very hyped up during this match because they were like, oh, yeah, it's Monday Night Raw. So, the Street Profits were being a little over the top, according to Jerry Lawler on commentary, because they were a little over the top cheering for Bianca. Well, why can't they be? Bianca and Montez Ford are, married. So, but at the end of the match, Bianca ended up winning the match, ended up hitting the KOD, Kiss of Death, to Santana Garrett. So there you go. Bianca ended up winning the match. But it was an easy win for Bianca. And then we had the main event. Drew McIntyre versus Angel Garza. And this match itself, it was a decent match. The bell ended up ringing. Austin Theory was also out there. And Austin Theory ended up distracting Drew McIntyre and allowed Angel Garza to strike McIntyre. McIntyre ended up delivering a belly-to-belly to Angel Garza, and it sent Angel Garza out of the ring. McIntyre ended up keeping control on Angel Garza. McIntyre ended up dropping Angel Garza over the barricade. He ended up delivering some chops to Garza. McIntyre ended up delivering a Glasgow kiss headbutt to Garza. Austin Theory then ended up coming from behind. McIntyre ended up dropping Austin Theory. And that led to Angel Garza taking advantage of the match. He ended up nailing a drop kick off of the steel steps to McIntyre. And at the end of the match, you had McIntyre ends up delivering the Claymore to Angel Garza. And that was that. Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. And there was a point where Andrade was also out there. McIntyre ended up sending Andrade over the barricade. And then McIntyre ended up delivering the Claymore to Austin Theory on the floor. In the end, Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. So post-match, we saw Drew McIntyre. He ends up raising the WWE Championship. And Angel Garza ended up getting back on his feet. McIntyre ended up delivering another Claymore to Angel Garza. McIntyre was talking trash to Zelina Vega. And then Austin Theory comes into the ring. And Drew McIntyre ends up dropping Theory with the Claymore kick. So McIntyre, after delivering the Claymore to Austin Theory, McIntyre ended up chasing Andrade up the ramp. And pretty much, that was basically how Monday Night Raw ended tonight. Anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which hopefully it will be a unboxing video. I got a t-shirt unboxing that I want to do. Hopefully that will be up by tomorrow. So, till then, I'll see you all later.